Hello and welcome to the 30k channel, a channel dedicated to the game set in the Horus Heresy. I'm your host, David Brains, and we welcome back Josh for his third time on the channel. Good morning.
Hey guys, I couldn't stay away. It's so much fun.
He loves it, he loves it. He's braved planes, trains and automobiles to get here today, and we've got him, so that's fantastic news. And welcoming newcomer, Dave from Huddersfield. Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
He's done a 3-hour journey in his car. He's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And we have two absolutely spectacular armies for your viewing pleasure today. Have to say, I think this is what the third iteration of
Man, I don't even know.
I lose track.
So yeah, I did the army again after selling some off to a very loyal fan. So
mad.
Yeah, I love it. I can't. It's Alpha Legion all the way. Probably always Alpha Legion.
I mean, the first army was good to begin with, and now these are just another level. You've done an amazing job.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. It's thanks to Colt of Pain. Done really great. Good tutoring and stuff. So
amazing series of lessons from those guys. They're all over the country, so worth checking out. And Thousand Suns, we spoke about this morning. We really struggle to get Thousand Suns, and to get these on is fantastic. They are beautiful.
Cool.
Really nice. I think the key thing about today is that we've got the two top blokes on the channel, haven't we? We've got Magnus and Alfarius.
Yeah. One of many. Gonna stay away from him. I'm not gonna come any minute.
He's ready.
I said to Dave this morning, I said, how many warp charge points have you got? And he starts off with 10.
Oh,
Base of 10.
10.
That's dirty, right?
Yeah, it's pretty dirty. I don't feel good about it, if I'm honest.
And what have you gone for, the higher echelon Magnus or the lower?
Yeah, he's going to be pretty nasty. He's probably going to go on his own, but he's running on Biomancy.
Okay.
He's rolled all the rules he needs on there. We've got some what do you call it now? Unrestrained Might of the Crimson King as well. So he's going to be throwing some high strength shots around in the psychic phase, and then he's going to be charging in with some high strength attacks in the assault phase.
Well, there's a challenge if you ever needed that.
Throwing some big fists around, yeah.
Gosh, yeah, we're going to make sure we stay away from him. Just keep him at a distance if we can.
Now, some of you may notice that obviously we've got two essentially traitor legions playing today. And we always try and get a fluffy matchup between loyalists and traitors, but every event you go to are always loyalists versus traitor. And I think at some point the traitors do clash at certain points, even if not to the death, but it's certainly to get one over on their brother or to get an advantage somewhere.
Yeah.
So Josh, what's the deal today?
All right, so obviously this game is, like we said, two traitors, and basically the Alpha Legion have come to intercept the Thousand Suns, who have just spotted or have heard about a relic on a planet in the area. So Magnus, being the kind of magpie that he is looking for that relic, and Omegon has come to stop him and prevent him from getting that relic so they can use it for themselves. So
yeah, they've got alternative plans.
Always. You never know what they're doing with the Alpha Legion. So, yeah.
It's going to be good. We're playing 3K, Dominion and Search and Destroy, and we're going to use the 3 objectives. You can usually have 5 in Dominion, but we're going to use 3 because the board is quite tight, I think, and to put 5 is going to be a bit wild, I think. So it's just representing the forces moving around this location, scurrying around the dirt to try and find this relic on the way to Terra. Couple of things I want to talk about. You've both got an Arcus.
Yep.
Yep.
You had much results for the Arcus?
It's touch and go for me. Last time I used it, I was it did okay. It swings around. I think it's still paying a lot of points for what it can do, but it can pack a punch if you use it properly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like my Arcus is like, you know that character in like a horror film who always dies first. So it's like, no matter what I do, the Arcus just gets ruined. So, but when it does get a game, especially when it stands still, it's like it's murderous. It's great. Yeah, it's really good. So.
My prediction is that I think they will last, because I think both of your armies have some absolute powerful units that will probably get targeted priority over the Arcus, I think.
Yeah.
Magnus will be on the board, I guess, from turn 1, maybe.
Yeah, I'm umming and ahhing about deep striking him, but he's probably going to start on the board. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Alfarius, he comes in whenever he wants, really, doesn't he? He's got that one of many rules.
So yeah, so there's like 4 ways you can have him. You can have him starting on the board. You can have him deep striking or outflanking. 3 ways. And then so you can have him in a transport if you need him to, or the one of many rule, which allows him to hide in a unit. So he'll just basically pick a model. Let's say this tactical marine here. From turn 2, you can choose to reveal him, and he just pops up. Which is really cool if you want to have a surprise factor, but it does cost that point of the model. So so you have to really think about what you want him to do.
Yeah, so we'll see, because I think deployment is a really key thing about the game, and if you know where the big bad units are, you can certainly mitigate against it, can't you?
Yeah.
And also, you got 2 units segment, or was it one big unit?
2 units. 2 units of 5. Yeah.
Yeah. They work quite well. 2 wounds, toughness.
2 wounds, 2 attacks. They get, because I'm running them with telekinesis, they get +1 to invulns. So 3 up invuln terminators. They're just with force axes as well. They're definitely one of the better terminators in the heresy. Yeah, definitely.
In that configuration, they're almost the same as the fire drakes you've got.
So like by using Cause of the Hydra, I get rewards of treason. So it allows me to pick 1 unit from any opponent or any other legion, essentially. So I've decided to go with the fire drakes because they are that tough, survivable. 2 wounds. Dragon's shield gives them a 3+. It's basically 3+ invulnerable save. Basically a storm shield from 40k. It's really good. So. They've all got chain fists or thunder hammers or power fists, so really, really great.
I think it's quite evenly matched. I think your, like say, the force sword is really key when you're going up against strength 10 terminators. So or strength 8 rather. And you've obviously both got a vindicator as well. But we'll go deeper into the list. But I think those perhaps 3 or 4 units will really help out. So
it's particularly the javelins. I mean, javelins are essential, I think, for the Alpha Legion. They're so good. The way they have that surprise factor. Obviously, with Alfarius, you get a D3+ roll to any outflanking, so I can move on further and just get into my opponent's face and just take over.
It's going to be really interesting. I think this game is not for the faint-hearted. So if you are of a weak disposition, you're taking medication, you can't operate heavy machinery, I would sit down for this game if I were you. It's definitely. I don't think it'll be a family-friendly game, but I think it will be a great-looking game, and I think the 2 forces clashing in the middle of that table is going to be quite intense.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yeah,
I can tell you what, he's really excited.
I'm apprehensive about Alpha Legion. I've only played them once, so I'm not too savvy with their sneaky tactics. So it should be really good.
It's fine. I've never played Thousand Suns, so
we're both going in blind. It's fine.
We're just learning together.
I think this is a great demonstration of why this traitor matchup is a really good one, because if you go to an event, you'll usually play loyalists versus traitors, and you'll never get to learn the other tactics of another army. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
It's a good opportunity, and Magnus, the beast himself.
Everyone wants to pop at Magnus.
Yeah, just to see what he does. Really excited.
We shall find out. I'm really keen for this game. Let's get stuck into the lists, and then we'll see you at the beginning of turn 1.
3,000 points of Alpha Legion, led by the Primarch Alfarius, running the Cause of the Hydra Rite of War. Alpha Legion HQ, first up is Harrow Master Kel Salonius, armed with a master-crafted Paragon Blade, Primateer of Echidna, a Power Dagger, Venom Spheres, Iron Halo, and Digital Lasers. He's joined by Primus Medicae Nexus Simonis, armed with Artificial Armor, a Refractor Field, Bolt Pistol, Venom Spheres, Needle Pistol, Power Dagger, Power Sword, Melter Bomb, and an Narthecium. First Alpha Legion elite choice is Contemptor Dreadnought Raunius, armed with a twin-linked las cannon, a chain fist, extra armor. Second elite choice for the Alpha Legion is a Rewards of Treason unit, Fire Drake Terminator Squad Daboya, armed with 6 Fire Drakes and 1 Fire Drake Master, Cataphracti Terminator armor. The squad contains 3 Chain Fists, 2 Power Fists, 1 Thunder Hammer, and 1 Master-crafted Thunder Hammer. 7 Dragon Scale Storm Shields. Into battle comes a dedicated transport, a Spartan, armed with Auxiliary Drive, Armoured Ceramite, and Flare Shield. Alpha Legion's troop choices contains 3 Tactical Marines. First tactical squad is Dubois, armed with 9 Powered Armoured Space Marines and an Artificial Armoured Sergeant, Combi Plasma, Melter Bomb, and Frag and Crack Grenades. The rest of the squad is armed with bolt guns. The second troops tactical squad is Aegis. They are identical to the first. Third and final troops choice for the Alpha Legion is a tactical squad Dendropus, armed with an Artificial Armor Sergeant, combi plasma, bolt guns, power dagger, and 9 power armored Space Marines. Alpha Legion Fast Attack contains 2 Javelin attack speeders, both armed with multi-melter, twin-link Cyclone missile launchers, and 2 Hunter Killer missiles. Third and final Fast Attack's choice for the Alpha Legion is an Efrit Seeker Squad Viperin, armed with 4 powered armored Space Marines, artificial armored Strike Leader, 5 combi plasmas, a power dagger, and melter bombs. First heavy support choice for the Alpha Legion is an Arcus Strike Tank, armed with armored Ceramite, Dozer blades, 2 las cannon sponsons, and a twin Arcus launcher. Second and final heavy support choice for the Alpha Legion is a Vindicator Siege Tank, armed with a Demolisher Cannon, the Machine Spirit, a pintle-mounted combi bolter, and extra armor. Alpha Legion Lord of War choice is a big man out Forest himself, Primarch of the Alpha Legion, the Alpha Null, the Hydra, the Threefold Serpent, the final configuration. Real talk, he's shanking a Blood Angel and he's gonna shank the Thousand Suns.
3,000 points of Thousand Suns, led by the Crimson King himself, running Guard of the Crimson King. HQ choice for the Thousand Suns is Magnus the Red himself, and he's going to be running the Unrestrained Might of the Crimson King. First Elite's choice for the Thousand Suns is a 10-man Kenetai Blade Squad. They're going to be deep striking in the Dreadclaw drop pod, and they belong to the Pavoni cult, giving them +1 to their runs and sweeping advances. Second Elite's choice for the Thousand Suns, 2 Rapier Quad Mortars with Shatter Shells, and they are belonging to the Corvidae cult, which gives them rerolling 1s when they haven't moved when they are shooting. First Troops choice for the Thousand Suns, a 10-man tactical squad. Sergeant is repping Artificer Armour and a Power Sword, and they are going to be arriving in a Rhino armoured carrier with twin-linked bolter. Second Troops choice for the Thousand Suns is another 10-man tactical squad with a Sergeant in Artificer Armour and a Power Sword. Again, coming in a Rhino armoured carrier with a twin-linked bolter. Both tac squads are running the Corvidae cult. Third Troops choice for the Thousand Suns is a 5-man Sekhmet Terminator Cabal. The Sergeant is running a Chain Fist and Combi Bolter, and the other 4 are running Force Axes and Combi Bolters. They belong to the Raptora cult. Fourth and final Troops choice for the Thousand Suns is another 5-man Sekhmet Terminator Cabal. Sergeant again is running a Chain Fist, and the other 4 running Force Axes. And again, these guys belong to the cult Raptora. First heavy support choice for the Thousand Suns is a Vindicator tank with Demolisher Cannon. I've packed it out with Machine Spirit, and it's also carrying a Combi Bolter on its pintle. Second heavy support choice for the Thousand Suns is the Sicaran Arcus Strike Tank. It's taken some las cannon sponsons, Pyrax warheads, as well as its twin Arcus launcher. Also giving it armoured Ceramite and an auxiliary drive. Final heavy support choice for the Thousand Suns is the beastie Leviathan Dreadnought. It's going to be running a Gravflux Bombard, a Siege Claw, twin-linked Volkite Serpenters. It's got armoured Ceramite and a Phosphex Discharger, and it's going to be crashing down in its Dreadnought drop pod.
Dave, Josh, we're deployed and ready to go, yes?
Yep, already.
Yep.
Excellent. The Alpha Legion have outflanked the Thousand Suns, haven't they?
Yeah, so they've infiltrated, they've surrounded them. Here comes the Howering. Omegon is ready to shut down his brother's plans to get these relics.
Yeah.
So see what happens.
I'm really surprised you both put your Primarchs on the table, haven't you?
Yeah. So the reason I did that is because obviously Alfaris provides the entire army, well, all infantry, everything with the Legion of Astartes special rule with preferred enemy. So traditionally I used to hide him in a unit but that meant a whole turn without a preferred enemy, which is like a waste of points. So I really wanted him to kind of get that maximum optimal ability to crush your marines.
Yeah, usually I'll deep strike Magnus in this kind of list, but I didn't want to risk Alfarius and his sneaky tactics of messing up my reserve rolls, even though they get the re-roll and whatnot, but it wasn't worth risking. We'll just get him on the board and get him throwing some magic powers about.
We'll see. I think this game will be quite key on the first turn. Now, at the moment, the Thousand Suns deploy first. They're going first. But Joshua, you've got some sneaky special rules to give you a seize. Is that right?
So, because of the Hydra, allows me to re-roll my Cs. It also has a +1. And Alfarius seizes on 4+. So, it's a re-rolling 4+. So, I'm going to see if I can do this. So, if you're ready, I'm ready.
Let's have a friendly handshake, Jen. It's going to be a great game.
Now, this is where things go wrong, right? Like, so the disadvantage, if I fail, I've infiltrated, I'm really close, I'm out in the open. I have to seize. So here we go.
Go on.
Okay, it's a 1. Oh, come on, please. Here we go. Yes! It's a 5, so that's Alpha Legion going first.
Let's do it.
Prepare to die! Alpha Legion turn 1 movement. The Spartan Orpheus has moved up to get a las cannon shot on the side armor of that Arcus. And also, the Tactical Marines have just moved up a bit to make sure that they've got area control on the objectives. The Machine-Spirited Demolisher Cannon Vindicator has also moved up to just get a bit more space and just get closer to the enemy units. Alfarius and his tactical squad have moved up just behind the Arcus, and I've just kept the Arcus still to ensure that it gets its shots on, double shots on the opponent's Thousand Suns units. Finally, the final Tactical Marine squad has stayed put. They infiltrate onto objective. All of my movement has been centered around just gaining the objective straight away, just holding those positions and forcing David and his Thousand Suns to come to me. Alpha Legion turn 1 shooting. The Spartan fired 4 las cannon shots into the side armor of the Thousand Sun Arcus. 2 of the shots went through. One was a glance and one was a penetration. The Thousand Suns player managed to save the glancing hit, but the penetration went through. So the Alpha Legion only managed to hit with a 1, which caused a crew shaken. Alpha Legion turn 1 shooting. The Contemptor fired its twin las cannon into the Thousand Suns Rhino. Managed to get 2 hits, 1 pen and 1 glance. The penetration caused an immobilized result. By standing stationary, the Arcus managed to do its ripple fire shots into the Sekhmet Terminators, causing 4 wounds, 3 of which were failed by Terminators and killing 3 of them. Then it fired 2 of its las cannon, managed to get 1 hit, killing that last Terminator. So there's only 1 remaining. This is a great result. Efrit Seeker Squad fired their weapon rounds into the Sekhmet Terminators. 1 Scorpius bolt shell managed to cause wounds, but it was saved. And the Tempest bolt shells managed to cause 4 wounds, but they were also saved. Unfortunate. Alpha Legion, final act of their shooting phase. The tactical squad decided to run because they popped out around the corner, saw the Vindicator, didn't want to get shot out next turn, so they ran back behind the crate for some cover. Then we had the Alfarius and his tactical squad just move over to the side to maybe just ensuring they can get some line of sight or to help with the Cognisignum for the Arcus in the next round. Hopefully, we'll be safe. The Alpha Legion have managed to cause the Arcus, the Thousand Sun Arcus, to snap fire, which is great. So maybe I've got less to worry about. And the Alpha Legion also managed to immobilize that Rhino. So that's a tactical squad out in the open.
Turn 1000 Suns movement. The Dreadnought drop pod has arrived right in front of the Arcus, ready to deal some damage. Magnus has now run up into the middle of the board. He's going to start throwing out some psychic powers shortly and hopefully get rid of some of this scary armor that's fighting us. The Arcus on my side, Thousand Suns Arcus, has moved up 6 inches. I think I might just be in range even though I'm snap shooting. First attack squad over here have just gotten out of their immobilized Rhino now. We're not quite sure what they're going to do yet. They've got a lot of foot slogging to do. The quad mortars have stayed still, just trying to pick out a target for them. My Vindicators just pivoted ever so slightly to get the Spartan in its eyesight, and Terminators are looking at it, ready to see if anything's going to pop out. And then the other Rhino tank up there has just moved on up, ready to start fighting for that objective. Okay, so Thousand Suns Psychic Phase, turn 1, hasn't gone too well for the Thousand Suns so far. Magnus has tried to cast Life Leech and Smite, both with Mind Wrath, at the Arcus tank. All of these have failed to wound the tank. We did get some strength 8 shots at the front armour, but we could not penetrate it. We then moved on to the Sekhmet squad facing the Spartan. The Sekhmet tried to cast Psychic Maelstrom at the front armour, and again failed and suffered perils of the warp. Magnus used his Unrestrained Might of the Crimson King to stop and negate that perils from happening. Thousand Suns turn 1 shooting phase. The Leviathan Dreadnought has fired its Melter Gun and its Gravflux Bombard into the front armour of the Arcus Sakaran tank and has done no damage whatsoever, but we did manage to scatter the template over one tactical marine, and that marine is now dust. So the Arcus tank has fired snapshots into the opposing Alpha Legion Arcus tank and has managed to cause one penetrating hit, which has resulted in a weapon destroyed, and we've destroyed its heavy bolter. Unfortunately, nothing too spectacular done again, but we're whittling it down. Need to hopefully not put so much firepower into it next turn, hopefully get it gone. The Vindicators fired its Demolisher Cannon into the front of the Spartan, hoping that the Flare Shield wouldn't stop us from causing a glancing hit. Unfortunately, we did not get that 6 that we needed, so the Spartan lives on. The Quad Mortars have decided to fire at the Seeker Squad hiding behind this rock, as it was the only unit they could see that was worth shooting at, with the Spartan's Flare Shield negating us and making us too weak to hurt it. We've managed to take out the Seeker Squad Sergeant, so we're slowly getting there. Thousand Suns turn 1 assault phase, and the Sekhmet Terminators have charged the Spartan. In true Thousand Suns arrogance, they believe one Chain Fist is going to pummel this thing into bits. Needed a 7-inch charge and rolled the exact what we needed, so we're going to see what happens. The Sekhmet Sergeant managed to cause 2 penetrating hits with his Chain Fist to the Spartan, and subsequently made it explode. So we've now cracked open the egg, and we've got a big blob of Fire Drake Terminators coming at us next turn. They did take a pinning check from the explosion. None of them have died, none of them have failed their pinning, so we might be in a spot of bother next turn, but it's Terminators on Terminators, so we'll see.
Alpha Legion turn 2 movement and reserves. Both javelins have come on, one from behind, one from in front, encircling the Thousand Suns troops. Airfoot Seeker Squad climbed over the cliff, prepared to take some shots down onto the Thousand Suns tanks or infantry. Tactical squads started on the objective, giving the Alpha Legion 1 point, have moved around the back of the boulder to provide firing support to the Terminators. The Alpha Legion Vindicator turned towards the side armor of the Leviathan, bringing its Demolisher Cannon to bear. Alpharis and his tactical squad have come together, being very brave, decided to approach the Leviathan in case they want to lock it in combat. Alpharis has Armor Bane, so that will be very good for them. The Legion Contemptor remains still, prepared to get a fire shot with its twin-linked las cannon into the Arcus, see if we can kill it. Lastly, the Legion Arcus Strike Tank has decided to move back, providing it with side armor shots into the Leviathan. Lastly, the final tactical squad has remained still in that building, providing the Alpha Legion with another victory point, bringing the total to 4 victory points. Alpha Legion turn 2 shooting! The Javelin fired its crack missiles into the side armor of the Vindicator, causing 1 pen and 1 glance. The pen caused a weapon destroyed on the bolter. However, the Multi-melter fired into side armor, caused a death, killed it, and basically destroyed that unit. So that's a great result from the Javelin. Well done, my sons, well done! The Alpha Legion shooting continues with the Arcus firing into the Leviathan. One las cannon was on the side armor. It penned. The Arcus launcher also fired and managed to get one glance, and then the last cannon fired and managed to get a pen, which was also a glance rather, which was also saved. So every result was saved. It's a disaster, absolute disaster. It's going to be up to Alpharis to shut it down. A good result, you can tell by my voice. The Javelin came on, fired all of its Hunter Killer missiles and its twin-link Cyclone missile launchers into the Arcus, managed to glance it out. Very happy with that result. Well done, well done, Javelin. Well done, well done. The Alpha Legion shooting continues with the Contemptor firing its twin-linked las cannon into the Leviathan. Managed to cause a glance on it, and the Alpha Legion are very happy with that. Good result. Very frustrating. The Demolisher managed... No. Very frustrating, the Legion Vindicator fired its Demolisher cannon into the sidearm of the Leviathan, caused a direct hit, caused a penetrating hit, but saved on a roll of a 6. I'm very frustrated. It's down to Alpharis to shut this Dreadnought down. Alpha Legion shooting continues. The Tactical Squad gave fire support to the Fire Drakes by shooting to the Sekhmet Terminators, managing to cause 1 wound via a combi plasma shot. The F-Fleet Seeker Squad shot across the map using their Kraken bolts, giving them 30-inch range into the far left-hand side Tactical Marine Squad of the Thousand Suns, killing 1 off. Alpha Legion turned to assault phase. The Fire Drakes, enraged, charge into the Sekhmet Terminators. Kel Solonis himself, the Harrow Master, challenges the Sekhmet Sergeant to a duel. And then Alpharis himself and his Tactical Marine Squad decide to charge the Leviathan to shut it down. It managed to shoot. The Leviathan shot with its Overwatch, killing 1 Marine, but the squad barely managed to scrape in a 6-inch charge, getting into combat. Kel Solonius charges the Thousand Suns Inceptor in a challenge, manages to hit with 7 attacks. However, only 5 of them landed. 3 were wounds, 1 of which was an instant death and 2 normal Paragon-bladed wounds. The instant death was saved with an invulnerable, however, he was felled by the 2 remaining wounds. It's a good result. Kel Solonius will fight on. Next, at Initiative 5, Nexus charges in, manages to land with 4 attacks into the Sekhmet Terminators, managing to wound with 3, and however, all of them were saved. Fire Drakes attack with 21 attacks with a combination of Thunderhammer, Chain Fist, and Power Fist, causing 21 attacks, causing 16 wounds, and 3 Sekhmet Terminators were killed.
Thousand Suns have retaliated in combat now, and 8 attacks back towards the Fire Drakes. 4 of those hit, 1 of them caused a wound. However, the Terminators are just too tough and their Feel No Pains have saved them from taking any losses. So we will require a leadership test. So the Sekhmet were down to leadership value of 4 by the end of the combat. After losses, we have failed our morale check and are now running. The Fire Drakes are definitely right behind us, chasing us all the way.
Alpharis, the Primarch himself, charges Leviathan, manages to get 5 hits, causing 2 glances and 1 penetrating. Managed to take off 2 hull points via the glances, but the penetrating was saved by an invulnerable.
The Thousand Suns Leviathan, striking at Initiative 4, is next to go in the combat and pummels into the Alpha Legion Tactical Squad, hitting 4 times and killing 4 Marines outright.
Continue the battle between Alpharis, his Tactical Squad, and the Thousand Suns Leviathan. The Sergeant came in with his Melter Bomb, attached it onto Leviathan, however failed to cause a glance or penetrating hit. It survives with 1 hull point remaining. End of assault phase. The Leviathan has won the combat. However, Alpharis is fearless and he provides that to the squad, so they remain locked in that engagement. And overall, an excellent turn for the Alpha Legion, managing to kill some key units, Sakari and Arcus, the Vindicator, forcing the Sekhmet Terminators to flee. This is great news. So we're in a great position, just waiting for his reserves now, and we'll see what happens next turn.
Turn 2, Thousand Suns deployment from reserves. I've seen my Dreadclaw dropping right next to Attack Squad, Seeker Squad and the Fire Drake Terminators. The Heat Blast has managed to take out 1 Tactical Marine, 3 of the Seeker Squad, and hasn't managed to damage the Terminators. No surprise, but we're hoping once we jump out of there and start assaulting, there'll be make short work of those Terminators, hopefully. The Tactical Squad in the Rhino have moved around the objective and preparing to fire on the remaining Alpha Legion Marines. The lone Sekhmet has rallied and is preparing for some psychic warfare. The Quad Mortars have stayed still, ready to start laying down some fire. And the Tactical Marines have now begun to point their mortars towards those Fire Drake Terminators. The other lone Terminator has seen the objective and is now looking to secure it. And Magnus has seen his brother devouring a Leviathan Dreadnought and is coming for blood. Thousand Suns turn 2, Psychic Phase has seen Magnus buff himself up. He has now got Iron Arm, giving him +3 strength and toughness. He's now got Warp Speed off, giving him 3 attacks and +3 initiative. He's also cast Endurance on himself, giving him a 4+ Feel No Pain. We did try to lower the toughness and strength of the Alpha Legion in combat with the Dreadnought, but we were unsuccessful due to Alpharius' Adamantium Will. Thousand Suns turn 2 Shooting Phase. The Thousand Suns Tactical Squad have put 19 bolter shots into the Alpha Legion Tactical Squad, killing 2 Space Marines. The Thousand Suns Quad Launchers have opened fire into the outflanking Javelin and they've destroyed it. The other Tactical Squad have sent 9 bolter rounds into the Fire Drake Terminators, along with a combi bolter from the Sekhmet Terminator in front of them. No wounds have been dealt. So the assault phase for Thousand Suns turn 2. Magnus has attempted to charge into his brother Alpharius and the supporting Tactical Squad and needed an 11-inch charge. We rolled a 6, needing a reroll with Fleet. I then rolled a 10, so an inch out. Heartbreaking for Magnus, but he will get there. So the assault phase for the Thousand Suns sees the Leviathan Dreadnought fighting off Alpharius for another turn. Alpharius did cause a penetrating hit, but the Leviathan's invuln save has kept it going a little bit longer. We have slaughtered another 3 Tactical Marines, and the fight continues. Striking at Initiative 1 with a Melter Bomb, the remaining Sergeant has failed to cause any damage to the Leviathan Dreadnought. Alpharius, being fearless, is keeping me tied in combat. End of turn 2 for Thousand Suns, and we're slowly making things back. Reinforcements arriving, and the Dreadnought just tanking hits is slowing down the Alpha Legion ever so slightly. We'll see what the next few turns brings.
Alpha Legion turn 3 movement. After that aggressive retaliation from the Thousand Suns, the Alpha Legion have moved up to take care of this drop pod. The Fire Drake's coming in to pop its shell and kill what's inside. The Tactical Marines have turned around, opting to fire into the Tactical Marines that killed 2 of their number. Luckily, the Lone Seeker managed to rally, and he'll be lying in wait, waiting to fire back, but he'll be snap shooting for next turn. And the Legion Vindicator pivots, drives 12 inches, and prepares to fire its Demolisher cannon into that Tactical Marine squad. Fearing that his master is in trouble, the Legion Contemptor Rothius decides to jump down from his position and potentially get into combat with an 11-inch charge into that Leviathan. Alpharius is in dire straits, needs to take out the Leviathan in this turn. The Tactical Marines, fearing Magnus as he draws ever closer, decide to move through cover behind the building, managing to roll a 4 and get behind it, but still on the objective, which provides me with a single victory point, bringing me up to 5, I believe. Now the Arcus, realizing there's nothing for him to shoot, decides to turn and is going to try to get around the side using a flat-out move. And the lone javelin decides to do the same thing, but he's going in a separate. They're going in a different direction, so they're going to fly over and try and see if they can do some more damage on the opposite side. As the game draws closer to turn 4 in the late game, it's going to be mostly about the objective. So really, it's about keeping Alpharis alive, keeping him out of combat with Magnus, especially now that he's toughness 9 and all of his other shenanigans, like his psychic powers. Let's see how this battle goes. Alpha Legion turn 3 shooting. The Legion Vindicator shot into that Tactical Marine squad, however it scattered 3 inches forward, which meant it only hit 3 of those Marines, rolling 2 3s and a 1, meaning that only 2 of the Tactical Marines died. It's not the best result, but it's not terrible. They killed something, so hopefully the Tactical Marines can retaliate in the next shooting. Continuing the Alpha Legion shooting, the Tactical Marine squad decided that they wouldn't shoot into the Thousand Suns Marine squad, as it would increase the charge distance next phase. The Contemptor, deciding that it wouldn't risk firing its las cannon, decided to run instead, but only managed to move with a 2. So it's pretty much stuck there for now. The Javelin repositioned itself, as well as the Arcus, deciding how to best get some shots off in the next phase. Alpha Legion turn 3 assault phase. The Fire Drakes have charged the Dreadclaw drop pod and have surrounded it, hoping to break it down and then basically force a funnel for the surviving Marines to escape out of. Luckily, the Tactical Marine squad managed to get the charge despite losing one of their number to some Overwatch. It's great. This is great news. I can hold them there and hopefully whittle them down over time. Continuing the engagement between Alpharis and his sergeant, he fights the Leviathan, managing to cause 4 hits, 1 pen, 1 glance. The glance managing to kill the Leviathan, finally freeing him from its clutches. He moves into cover as far as possible to get away, consolidating with 5 inches as far as possible to get away from Magnus. Alpha Legion charged into the Thousand Suns tactical squad. They managed to cause 1 death via the Sergeant with his Venom Spheres and Hammer of Wrath. The Sergeants struck at each other, both causing 1 wound each, however not managing to kill each other via saving with the Artificial Armor. We'll now move on to the rest of the squad and their attacks. Alpha Legion, striking at Initiative 4 against the Thousand Suns, managed to cause 2 wounds on the Thousand Suns squad, killing 2 of them via failed saves. However, the Thousand Suns struck back and managed to do 2 wounds also. 3 wounds also. 2 of those wounds were saved and 1 was failed. The Thousand Suns then needed to take a leadership check, but passed it. Solonius, Nexus, and the Fire Drakes charged destroy the Dreadcore drop pod, killing 1 of their Thousand Suns in a subsequent explosion. The explosion actually also wounded 1 of the Fire Drakes. However, Nexus used his Feel No Pain, and that wound was not lost. The Thousand Suns also had to take a pinning check, but managed to pass it. So I'll be getting ready for them. So the Fire Drakes will be preparing for the subsequent charge in the next turn.
Thousand Suns turn 3, movement phase. Magnus has moved up 6 inches towards Alpharius. He really wants to take off his brother's head, as we are taking serious casualties, and he is very upset. The tactical squad have just moved up ever so slightly to get some firepower into the back of those Fire Drakes. The lone Terminator up there trying to secure the objective, but he's still not quite there. He doesn't know what he's doing anymore. The quad guns have stayed still, no surprise there. Hopefully going to whittle down some more of those Terminators. And then the lone Terminator there, he's got some sneaky ideas up his sleeve, hoping to take something out next turn. But how will he do it? And then we have the tac squad at the back, in combat still, ready to try and take some heads. Turn 3 psychic phase for the Thousand Suns. Magnus has used Smite and his Unrestrained Might to put a Strength 8 hit into the side armour of the Sicaran Arcus. He has given it 2 penetrating hits and destroyed it. Magnus then attempted to life leech the Contemptor Dreadnought, but failed to cause any damage whatsoever. We then used the last of our warp charge in a bid for hope. We have casted Force on the Kine Blade squad, so they should hopefully be able to pack a little bit more of a punch to the Terminators. And the lone Terminator on his own there tried to cast Psychic Maelstrom and wanted to try and destroy the Vindicator, but we've had no success there. Turn 3, Thousand Suns shooting phase, and Magnus has opened fire with his Sci-Fire Serpenter into Alfarius, hiding in the building. We have managed to take out the remaining Marine that was supporting him, but no other wounds have been caused. The tactical squad opened fire with bolters into the back of the Fire Drakes, but Fire Drakes, being Fire Drakes, just will not die. And then used 4 shatter shells from each quad gun into the backs of the Terminators. All 8 shots caused wounds, yet no Terminator died. Assault phase for the Thousand Suns, turn 3. And the lone Sekhmet Terminator has charged into the Fire Drakes to take on any Overwatch that might have come at the Kind Blade squad. The Kind Blade squad have then followed in suit and charged into the Fire Drakes. So we're going to see what happens there. Magnus then attempted to charge his brother, Alfarius, who is hiding like a little girl in the building. We needed a 12-inch charge on that because of all the terrain. I rolled a 10, so we still can't quite get there. So I don't think he's going to catch him this game.
Combat between the Blades and the Fire Drakes. Kelsolinus issued a challenge onto the Blade Master, managed to hit with 3 attacks because of the high weapon skill of the Calathine Blades. Managed to fail the Blade Master in single combat with 1 wound. So very lucky. We'll see what happens with the rest of the battle. Initiative 4, Step. Nexus strikes as well. Tries to kill one of the Calathine Blades, but fails as the Calathine Blade was able to make an armor save.
So Thousand Suns attacking at initiative 4 with their Blade squad. 36 attacks were handed out, all with the force power alongside them. We managed to get 17 hits out of that and 10 wounds. This has managed to kill off just 2 Terminators. But I suppose, given that they're Fire Drakes, that's pretty good going. I don't think we'll finish them off this game, but we will see what happens when they punch us back.
Alpha Legion Initiative 1, after losing 2 of the Fire Drake Terminators to excellent rolls from the Blades, they managed to strike back with 11 attacks, causing 4 wounds and killing 4 Marines.
Thousand Suns Sekhmet Terminator striking at initiative 1 with his Force Axe. Hasn't got the force power off, so he is just striking normal attacks. He's managed to cause 1 wound to a Terminator to tie up the combat, so we are locked until next turn, which is pretty good going for the Suns, as much as we are struggling. Thousand Suns assault phase now. The Tactical Marines facing off against the Alpha Legion Tactical Marines. It's a bit of a stalemate here. Still locked in challenge with our sergeants, but they are just battering each other and getting nothing out of it. Nothing's come of that. So we're at end of turn 3 now. Alpha Legion just seem to be hammering us with their fancy tactics, and Alfarius is still out of sight, and we just can't get to him quick enough. Hopefully we'll catch him by turn 5 and get that nice Primarch fight we're after.
Alpha Legion turn 4 movement phase. The Javelin moved full 12 inches around the corner to boost away from Magnus. The Contemptor did the same, just moving 6 inches, however, to keep its distance from Magnus. Alfarius joined the tactical squads. They managed to score a point, bringing my total victory points up to 6. Alfarius is keeping his distance away from Magnus as much as possible and just putting a meat shield in front of him. And now we just continue with the battle between the Fire Drakes. However, the Legion Vindicator also repositioned itself to get a shot on these Tactical Marines, seeing if we can just force them to retreat or just wipe the squad. Alpha Legion turn 4 shooting. The Vindicator, as I said, repositioned itself to try to get a shot with its Demolisher Cannon on the Tactical squad in the cover behind that pipe. However, although it managed to get a direct hit and potentially killing 7 of the Marines, via the amazing cover save, the Thousand Suns only lost 2 Marines, though it was their sergeant, so it's not a bad result, it's fine. Continuing the shooting, the lone surviving Efrit Seeker Marine fired 2 combi plasma shots into the rear arm of the Rhino, scoring 2 penetrating hits. That caused a shaken and an immobilized result. The Contemptor unable to get a shot off on Magnus, opted to run, scored a 6, and which allows it to support our Forest and protect him from Magnus. The Legion Javelin turbo boosted around the corner. It's not safe from Magnus thanks to his psychic abilities, but if it survives, at least it can maybe get some shots on at that surviving Rhino. David has mentioned that he wants this done eloquently. The Alpha Legion tactical squads managed to hit 2 attacks with the power dagger into the sergeant. However, none of them are wounded. And the tactical marines also struck with their bolt guns, managing to kill 2 of the tactical marines in the Thousand Sons squad. The Thousand Sons also decided to strike back. However, none of their attacks hit, and none of the ones that did hit from the sergeant failed to wound. This actually caused a leadership check from the Thousand Sons, which they managed to pass, so that combat stays locked.
Give it to him,
Alpha Legion Assault Phase Turn 4. Absolute disaster. Kelsolonius strikes with 6 attacks. Re-rolled 2 dice, one with Preferred Enemy and one with Mastercrafted. Still fails. It's a disaster. So this is really bad. I really needed him to kill at least 4 of those blades, so I'm in trouble. Next up, we have Nexus. I really don't know what it is with Silonius, but when he misses, Nexus comes in and does his job, managing to hit with 4 attacks, only 1 of them wounded, but with a power weapon that managed to fell 1 of the blades. So that puts me in a better position. We'll see how the Phaedrix do.
The Kentai Blade Occult are the next to attack in this combat, but it's not enough. They got 9 attacks between the 3 of them. Got about 4 or 5 hits, and none of them have wounded the Super Brick Hard Terminators. We just can't get through them. Then the Terminator at the back has tried his best with his axe to fell someone, but no dice, I'm afraid. Rolled a double 2 to hit, so nothing there either.
Assault Phase, Initiative 1, the Phaedrix managed to remove the Calatine blades from play. However, 1 of the wounds that landed on the Terminator was saved. The Terminator then failed his leadership check and fled 7 inches. The Alpha Legion Terminators, Kel and Nexus, consolidated 5 inches behind the rock. However, a few of them are still in position to be shot by the Shatter Cells. If we can survive, it's a good result, so hopefully we'll see how next turn goes.
So Thousand Sons turn 4 movement, and the lone Terminator that was running away has rallied. He's turned round. He's gonna maybe try some kind of psychic stuff against the Terminators now. The quad guns again have stayed still as they have all game, just trying to pick out a target. The attack marines just below them are also not moving for the moment. I think we might be able to get some Fury of the Legion in there. The lone Terminator on this side has jumped up to the objective to get that 1 point that we might get next turn. And then Magnus has just moved another 6. Now he knows he's not going to get Alfarius, so he's going for the armoured vehicles instead. So Magnus and the Psychic Phase on turn 4 now. Magnus has tried to use his Unrestrained Might to buff both Smite and Life Leech. We threw Smite at the Javelin. It failed to cast, unfortunately, even though we threw 5 dice at it, and it was jinking against us, so we need to bear that in mind. And we threw Smite at Strength 8 at the Dreadnought, but failed to break its armour. Turn 4 shooting phase for Thousand Sons, and Magnus has used his Sci-Fire Serpenter at the Javelin Landspeeder. We've managed to do a hull point and a weapon destroyed result with that. Shooting phase continues with the lone Sekhmet Terminator firing his combi bolter into the back of the Fire Drakes. We did manage to wound a Terminator, but their 2-up armor save was far too good for us. The Thousand Sons then fired 4 shatter shells from each quad gun into the backs of the Terminators, and we successfully managed to wound and kill a single Terminator. Thousand Sons Tactical Squad declared Fury of the Legion and put 10 bolter shots into the backs of the Fire Drakes. They've been a big target this game, but we haven't managed to get any wounds down off them really. We've barely scratched the surface of these tough modders. Can't get them. Thousand Sons Assault Phase, turn 4, sees the Thousand Sons tactical squad still going at it with the Alpha Legion tactical squad. The sergeants are taking blows at each other, and we are causing wounds, but saves are keeping us in there. No wounds have been dealt on either side. End of turn 4, Thousand Sons, and we just cannot get anyone down. We can't break down the Terminators, we can't catch Alfarius, and Magnus's psychic powers are really not showing what he's capable of this game. I think we've just got to keep pushing on now, and hopefully we might be able to just get a few more things off the table before the game ends, but I think Alpha Legion are going to take it.
Alpha Legion, turn 5 movement and potentially last turn of the game. The lone Efrit Seeker member has moved towards the rear armour of the Rhino, preparing to throw a crack grenade and finish it off. The Tactical Marines remain locked in combat with that Thousand Sons Tactical Marine squad. Silonius and his squad of Fire Drakes move forward to potentially get into combat with that ongoing engagement. The Vindicator has moved forward to prepare for a shot into those last remaining Tactical Marines. The Javelin Speeder has also moved forward, moving its full 12 inches to get away from Magnus. Lastly, the Legion Contemptor has prepared for a shot on that lone Terminator, hopefully with its last cannon, and finishing it off. And all but not last, the Alpha Legion, Alfarius and his tactical squad have moved behind the building and just staying out of the battle for now, staying safe and staying in cover. Alpha Legion turn 5 shooting. The Efrit member threw a crack grenade to the rear arm of the Rhino, however failed to penetrate all glance. Lastly, the Vindicator fired his weapon into the surviving Tactical Marine squad behind the pipe. They went to ground and given them a 4-up cover save, however 3 of them were killed by the blast. Continuing the shooting, the Legion Contemptor fired into the last remaining Terminator set mech and didn't manage to finish off as it managed to save with a 3-up invulnerable. The Legion Javelin turbo boosted and unfortunately lost one of his members. He's fallen out, probably blown up and fallen into the dust somewhere. So he's just parked behind that building, staying safe from the Satyr shells, but Magnus is just behind him, so we'll see what happens next turn. Alpha Legion Assault Phase turn 5. The Efrit member managed to get into combat with the Thousand Sons Rhino and finishing off with a crack grenade as it was immobilized. Auto hit, scored a pen, it's dead. So that's a great job from him. However, he can't consolidate because of the vehicle. Meanwhile, this combat continues with everyone hitting each other, but no one managing to actually kill anyone. So that's going to continue, and we'll see what happens next and in the Thousand Sun player's turn.
Thousand Sons turn 5 movement phase. The lone Sekhmet Terminator still holding a grudge against the Fire Drakes, and he's going to take one more psychic stab in the dark and hope to really upset them on the final turn. Magnus himself has stayed still, focusing those psychic channels of his, and he's ready to try and deal out one last unrestrained might against the armour of the Alpha Legion. Everyone else has stayed still and preparing for one last volley of fire. Thousand Sons turn 5 psychic phase. He's doing exactly what I wanted so far. The lone Sekhmet Terminators turn around the corner and cast Psychic Maelstrom straight into the Fire Drakes. We've got it off. They haven't managed to dispel it, and we've managed to kill off the Praetor and 2 Fire Drake Terminators. So big success in our eyes. Psychic phase continues, and Magnus has put both Smite and Leech Life unrestrained into the back of the Javelin, but we have failed to cast both times. After the Psychic Maelstrom has taken effect on the Fire Drakes, they have failed their morale and run. Unfortunately, as the dice go, they've only rolled to run 4 inches, which has got them bang to the edge of the board. It's heartbreaking to see, but it happens. Thousand Sons turn 5 shooting phase, and the quad mortars have fired into the Vindicator, causing 2 hull points and a stunned result. The lone Terminator has fired his combi bolter into the backs of the Fire Drakes, just trying to whittle them down, trying to show him who's boss, but no dice have been successful on that either. Thousand Sons turn 5 assault phase, and the Marines were still at it, both tac squads giving some heavy blows. The sergeants in the challenge both managed to kill each other off, and then the Alpha Legion, just outnumbering us ever so slightly, have managed to do the one more wound that they needed. However, we have passed our leadership test and aren't going anywhere, so it's tied combat yet again. Thousand Sons turn 5 ends and could possibly end the game here. There's a few things that we could consolidate on now, and it could really make the game. So we are going to roll to see if we carry on. So on a 4+, the game continues. It's meant to be.
Alpha Legion turned 6, pretty much just a wrap up. So the Alpha Legion, Vindicator and the Javelin, you'll notice the gunner's back. He fired the melter gun into the Terminator, but he tanked it. He even tanked a Demolisher cannon shot, which landed a direct hit on him and got a 4-up on that as well. So he's done a great job. The Contemptor also fired his Lads cannon into the last Sekhmet, and he tanked it as well. So it's been great. The Sekhmets have really been a thorn in my side. However, I did manage to rally with the Fire Drake Terminators, so they're just still in play. Lastly, this hero, the lone Everett squad member, after dealing with the Rhino, came around, flanked and charged into the last remaining tactical Marine from the Thousand Sons, and the squad combined with all of their attacks managed to finish him off and win that combat. It's been a great game, incredibly close. I'm really surprised by how it's all gone. We've done everything we can, so we just have to wait for the retaliation file.
So that's turn 6 for the Thousand Sons over and done with. Magnus moved up and again has tried to use his unrestrained might to take some of the armour out, but he's been unsuccessful yet again, both with Smite and with Life Leech. Hasn't caused any damage to the Dreadnought that's just staring him down. The Sekhmet Terminator threw out Psychic Maelstrom at the Fire Drakes yet again, but failed to cast after throwing 7 dice at it and only getting 2 warp charges out of that. We then threw some quad mortar fire into the side armour of the Vindicator tank and demolished it, thankfully. That's another kill point for us in the add-ups at the end. And that is Thousand Sons turn 6.
What an absolutely thrilling game. I have to say, it looks a little one-sided, but it comes down to a dice roll to win this game. Firstly, Josh, David, amazing game. Thank you so much.
What a slog. It were brutal from
It was
first
absolutely
turn.
crazy. I was shocked, really surprised.
So much hard-hitting stuff.
Those psychic powers. It was just like Magnus. Dilly, you're dead. You're dead.
I think you had it really easy from Magnus, to be fair.
To be honest,
He usually runs a lot harder than that.
Yeah.
He's usually quite awful. Yeah.
Really? Okay, fair enough.
He's been quite tame.
I think he's been a bit restrained.
Yeah, definitely.
But I also think as well, in fairness to Josh, I think you did play a really great game.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
you ran Alpharis away.
Hey,
That's what you should have done, though. There was no way you could have tangled him, Magnus. So running off was probably the best thing he could have done.
We'll talk about the game in a minute because this is very key about how the scores go. We will start with the Alpha Legion because they did a fantastic job. I think that was a lesson in how to score victory points.
Definitely.
Yeah, you were 2 points on the first and second turn, and then you scored a couple on 3 and 4. So total victory points for the Alpha Legion was 6.
Yeah.
Amazing job. Great work. Now, the Thousand Sons have got it really, really interesting. They did bugger all for the beginning part of the game, didn't they?
Did nothing really.
But they squeaked 2 victory points towards the end in turns 5 and 6. You also got martial hubris because you got the attrition, which means you killed more units than the enemy, which also gave up martial hubris, which puts the Thousand Sons on 3 victory points. But you get a roll of a D3. So, with a big roll on a 5 or 6, the game is a draw. See if you got a dice handy.
Got one.
Go on, give it to us. What you got?
Oh! Yes!
So close.
Oh,
Dave
wow.
rolled a 4,
Oh,
putting him on 5 victory
Oh,
points.
what a relief.
6-5, I'll take that. I'll take that.
not bad.
Game.
That is the relief. The relief. Oh man.
Oh, so close.
There was so much to talk about in that game. It was just unbelievable. I mean, I'll let you guys do the talking because I can talk for hours. So we'll start with the victor.
Right.
Give me your unit and your game.
Right, so I think it was a hard choice. Alfarius choosing to run away. The main reason I did that, other than getting to combat with Magnus, is the fact that he provides preferred enemy.
Yeah.
So any single time these guys rolled ones, the Fire Drakes were just able to reenact that. And actually, that allowed them to kill off some units. So if Alfarius had been killed, that's a whole buff to the entire army that I would have lost. So it's great to have them. But I've chosen the Fire Drakes because of the difference they made, So that threat of them appearing, infiltrating in, even though they were blown out of the Spartan, they charged the Terminators, they pretty much damaged them down to one member. And then they were able to delete the Dreadclaw drop pod, and then fight against the Calatine Blades and finish them off as well. So they had a really great game. Silonius didn't actually. He always does worse than Nexus, but he did his job. He kept the squad in, even though he was killed at the end. The fact that they rallied, they stayed and stood their ground. It was great. I think rewards of treason, Fire Drakes is perfect.
I mean, that unit was super tough, but you did an amazing job late game, and they nearly ran off the board. They were like a millimetre away from the board edge, weren't they?
So close. So close. That was heartbreaking, but.
We did expect to see those strength 10 AP1 blasts earlier in the game, but you just couldn't quite bring them to bear, eh?
It wasn't in the cards today. It wasn't in the dice, I suppose. But still a great unit for 1,000 Suns of the Sekhmet. They're just unreal when they get going. I don't think you need to take them in anything bigger than a squad of 5. They're nuts. I mean,
it's 2 in Terminators. It's an absolute dream.
Yeah, they're great. 2 wounds, 3 up invulns if you take them with that psychic abilities and stuff, and throwing out psychic powers on top of that. And then, I mean, they've just been not necessarily. They've played really well this game, to be honest. I've had from turn maybe 3 onwards. There's been 2 Terminators on the board, and they've lasted the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, turn 1 they managed to slay a Spartan with 1 chain fist. That was
so
awesome.
good.
I was so lucky, but. I mean, that's not really down to the Terminators so much as dice rolls, but they're just a great unit.
I think that unit, that move was really key because it kept this unit in one side of the board because there was no way they were going anywhere else because of the way the train was built. I guess it was disappointing is probably the wrong word, but we didn't really see much of Magnus. He didn't get into combat. He fired his gun a little bit, but he was kind of out in the middle, whereas Alpha Legion did a great job of just staying on the periphery of the battlefield and denying a lot of the full force, I think, of Thousand Suns.
Definitely, I thought Magnus might have been able to catch him, but they just it did the right thing, stayed away, went into just kept that 12-inch distance away from us. Couldn't get that charge. It's just
we did give Josh a load of stick for running away, but hey, he's playing true to the Legion, so fair play to you.
Right, Omegon denied Magnus from getting his relic. That's the objective. It wasn't to fight him in combat. It wasn't to kill him. It was just to prevent him from getting that relic. So maybe the 2 can meet at the Siege of Terra.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to remember. The mission, although we played Dominion, both forces were looking for this relic here in the thing, and I guess we can only assume that you made off the board with it and denied the Thousand Suns. But
I mean, that Leviathan really scared me at the beginning. I made Omegon, Armor Bane, but pretty weak against armor. I guess it was very, very lucky because we had a whole round where he wasn't able to kill him. And it was just down to the sergeant. So, Omegon getting to combat with the Leviathan, killing it and being able to flee, it just kept out of the game. And
I think there was definitely looking back on that, it's probably a misplay with the Dreadnought. I think I dropped it in the right place, but Alfarius and that tactical squad could have really had some damage done with the quad bombard, the grav bombard, and the Phosphex discharge that I didn't get to use. I really misplayed that. I was concentrated on the Arcus because I know what it can do when it stays still, and I think I probably could have done just as well ignoring it.
Yeah, you did do an Arcus with his psychic powers, didn't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember? That was brilliant.
It was just gone. So,
and I couldn't believe that. Obviously, Magnus when he kind of inflates, I don't know what the correct word is.
It's unrestrained. The unrestrained might.
You don't need a line of sight, do you? It's just
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like its psychic powers already don't need line of sight, but then when
True.
you're doubling the listed range, it gives him so much ball control. That
Yeah.
if you are going to run him on his own, and if you keep him away from everyone else, he can just start popping stuff. So it's definitely a good thing that he doesn't have the strength D anymore, because that was so ridiculous.
Would have been a bit rough, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was nasty to go against.
Yeah.
Well, I've really enjoyed this game. It's been absolutely thrilling. It was really lovely to have Josh back on the channel, and really great to meet David and his Thousand Sons. There is a ton of photos, and they will be on the Facebook page when this game is released. Final thoughts, though. We've got some clubs and some Instagrams to talk about. Josh, to start with you.
Okay, so you'll notice this top, it's the London Wargaming Guild. It's where I started playing Warhammer for the first time properly. So definitely a shout out to them. They're in London, Covent Garden, Seven Dials. Come and check us out. And then secondly, my Instagram page is Omegon Edge. I've also started doing blogs and interviews with a lot of famous people. So Dawn's Arrow also appeared on there. And also just check out my Facebook page, The Laughing Serpent.
Ah, yes. Fantastic. Dave, what do you got?
Just a nice little shout out to my local Home First Gaming Centre. They've got a Heresy campaign weekend coming up in January, the Melos campaign. I think it's quite a popular one. Never been, but I'm hoping to go this in the next year in January.
Great.
Just a shout out to them. I probably wouldn't be as good a painter if it wasn't for them.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna blow my own horn, but they've taught me most of what I know. So yeah.
That's good.
Both forces are absolutely spectacular, and those photos really will sort of give you an insight on the painting. So for me, it's been a wildly exciting game, and to have that roll off at the end just proves you can play your heart out and still have a bit of bad luck, but it can all be won on a dice roll. So that was fantastic.
Mate, excellent game.
Excellent, yeah, man.
Thank you, David, for having us.
My pleasure.
Cheers,
Really
brothers.
lovely to have you. We will, of course, welcome these gents back. So if they've got some time in the future, hopefully we'll see them back in the future. But thanks to you for watching. We'll see you in the next game.
Peace.